Now obviously there are two questions on your mind right now. Number one, what will his hair do next? And number two, what with Quake Champions, the Final Fantasy VII Remake and Crash Bandicoot Remastered all on the way, has there ever been a better time to reminisce about ye oldie PlayStation 1? The correct answer is no. It was a groundbreaking console that to this day has sold over 100 million units, and why the f not? Look at all these goddamn classics. Resident Evil, Metal Gear Solid, Spyro the Dragon, Mars Moose Walkabout 2, The Shakespeare Festival. Who wrote this? Indeed, the only thing better than playing PlayStation alone was playing with friends, if you had any. Gran Turismo, Command & Conquer, Twisted Metal, so many multiplayer hits, so little time. I'm Peter from WhatCulture.com, and here are 8 outstanding PS1 multiplayer games that are still fun to play.
Number 8, Tekken 3. It was hard to decide which of the first 3 Tekkens to add to this list, so go nuts in the comments if you think I'm wrong, but we think the third installment clinched it purely for its bolstered multiplayer options. Versus mode, team battle and volleyball, you're spoiling us. And that roster, I mean, as much as I love Devil Kazuya, you cannot argue with the addition of Brian Fury and Gone. What the f***? The replayability here is through the roof and then some. I mean, Tekken 1 is the OG, as they say on the streets, I respect that, but let's be frank. Kuma looked more like the result of a taxidermist trying to smuggle a grand piano through international customs than a real bear. This was ugly even back in 1994, whereas Tekken 3 ticks and always has ticked every box, and crucially for this list, had a multiplayer experience completely unmatched by any fighter that had come before. Number 7, Gauntlet Legends. It is hard to justify criticising the graphics of Tekken in one breath and then praising Gauntlet Legends in the next, especially the PS1 version, which was by far the most problematic, but I think I can fight my case here, so try and hear me out. This looks pretty awful, I know, and the audio quality sounded like it was coming from the inside of a U-boat.
This demon scorned, fearing the...
But in a way, these issues are a credit to the rest of the game. With presentation as iffy as this, you need your gameplay and game world to be 10 times as encapsulating as any well-presented equivalent if you want to succeed. And wow, Midway nailed it. Cooperative play with a varied choice of classes and costumes and a very well-coded shared camera, a bewitching soundtrack, hidden areas behind secret walls, and even arcadey bonus levels that unlock new characters. It was amazing. I've played Gauntlet Legends cooperatively hundreds of times, and I'd do it again and again until my thumbs dropped off. It has led to me having frequent nightmares about the castle dungeon level purely because of the backing track. Oh my god. But it is all worth it. I mean, despite this being probably the worst of the 3 ports, it's still a stellar PS1 multiplayer. Number 6, The Unholy War. Anyone ever actually play this game? Let's have a show of hands down below because no one I know in real life has ever even heard of it. What a hidden gem. The story in 10 seconds or less is that a bunch of cybernetic species crash landed on the planet Zara and decided to kill all the native life and reap the planet of its natural resources. The natives aren't really on board with that idea, so an unholy war breaks out. The main game plays out like a brilliantly over-the-top game of chess inspired by PC classic Archon. When 2 pieces meet on the board, they face off in a one-on-one real-time battle to the death, and there are plenty of special abilities to use on the game board itself. Between its hugely varied stages, quirky as hell roster of warriors, and tantalizing mythos, The Unholy War is one of my favourite PlayStation games of all time, and I will never stop playing it. Number 5, Hogs of War. Objectively, Hogs of War is a pretty rough around the edges Worms imitation that ventured into 3D years before Team 17 gave it a go. But something, or rather someone, helped drag this from the dirt it was destined for and into many people's personal PS1 Hall of Fame. The late, great Rick Mayall provided some of the best voicing I have ever had the joy of hearing in a video game.
Their terror arouses me.
Hogs of War certainly walks the line when it comes to racial stereotypes and may not have even been made if it had been pitched today, but when it's taken in good humour, the comedy is spot on.
Schnell!
Best of all, Rick Mayall also voices the announcer in multiplayer matches and pokes fun at everyone playing at home in the most hilarious way.
Not doing very well, are you, me old snot-coloured pal? Do you really want to win?
If you like your simple pleasures, it's one of the most entertaining casual multiplayer experiences that Naughty's Gaming had to offer, and despite being poorly developed in many areas, will always have my gold standard, all thanks to one man who so many of us miss very dearly. Number 4, Crash Bash. Here's a weird one. When I first played Crash Bash, I was sorely disappointed, and now it's number 4 in this list. I found that Eurocom's attempts to attach a coherent single-player story to what was essentially a party game was tenuous at best, and though some of the level types were kind of fun, it was nothing worth shouting about. It just felt like they fancied making PlayStation's answer to Mario Party and latched onto Crash simply to boost the sales. But then you plugged in your multi-tap, and what the So wonderfully chaotic, so many laughs. The matches frequently came down to the wire and everyone had their own forte. The hovercraft races are insane, the medieval sports are beautifully presented, and this guy is video gaming's greatest walrus hands down. It's got everything. Playing this game with friends, you don't care about the premise and you don't care about the outcome. You enjoy the game for enjoyment's sake, and amazingly it stops having to rely on the fact that it's in the Crash Bandicoot family. In a group setting, Crash Bash is pure unadulterated glee all on its own, and as a bonus just happens to feature characters that you know and love. Number 3, Worms Armageddon and Worms World Party. Grouped together because the latter is essentially just an expansion of the former, and I'm a maverick who doesn't stick by the rules, the first two Worms games of the 21st century built upon the madness of their predecessors and knocked it out of the park. While Worms 1 and 2 had already graced us with the likes of the Concrete Donkey and Holy Hand Grenade, Armageddon and World Party were more bang for your buck, and importantly, allowed us to play Worms on PlayStation for the very first time. A series that's still the epitome of multiplayer fun, it couldn't not be on this list. Number 2, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2. As Bad Religion put it in what must be one of gaming's greatest compilation soundtracks, there's a place where everyone can be happy. It's called Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2. Hawk's back with new technology, apparently. Bow down to our new cyborg overlord. But seriously, there's a stance that I try to avoid when talking about old games such as this, as it tends to come across equal parts presumptuous and belittling. But on this occasion, I do honestly think that anyone who didn't play this as a youngster was missing out. Chaining together combos with the newly added manual trick, grinding the helicopter blades to find a secret tape in the hangar, unlocking Spider-Man and Officer Dick, and creating some awesome custom skate parks. And of course, it wouldn't have made it to the list if you couldn't play alongside your friends in split screen and explore the levels together, or just kick their ass in graffiti mode. All hail Neversoft, all hail RoboHawk. And number 1, Crash Team Racing. One opinion I don't think I'll hear a great deal of objection to, this is without a doubt one of the greatest kart races of all time, especially when you account for its age. Sure, Mario Kart went on to dominate the genre decades down the line, but Crash's first entry into the racing world will always be remembered not only for hitting every mark, but for raising the standard completely. Controls so slick you felt at one with your kart, diverse tracks with familiar Crash Bandicoot theming, and the return of Pinstripe Potteroo. I mean, that alone sells the game for me, what a guy. Crash Team Racing was as fun for brand new players who'd never touched the game before as it was for veterans who sought to absolutely perfect their runs. It was truly one of the greats back at the turn of the century, and will long remain that way.
And that's our list. Now, what did I miss out? Micromaniacs, Wipeout, Bomberman. I want to see plenty of lists down in the comments below, letting us know your favourites. As always, don't forget to like, share and subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter here. I'm Peter from WhatCulture.com, and I'll see you soon.